Welcome to the Inner Core Show. I'm your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We are talking Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown is giving his take on why he thinks Trump did not forgive or pardon Sean Puffy Combs. All right, let's jump right into it.
How you feel about Trump not giving Diddy a pardon?
Well, Diddy's case has not gotten all the way through the system. Diddy, I suspect, was engaged in an act of self-defense of sorts by getting blackmail information over a 15-year period on people he had to work with so that he could keep things on an even plane. You found out what a freak he and his acquaintances were, what freaks they were. And a lot of people got disgusted, but that's what I've told folk. When you start ideating on being like the people that entertain you, be careful, because you may be into something else if you emulate them, what they're really about. You see, these people are to entertain you, and that means creating images and impression that may be totally fictitious rather. So you're basing what you are about on an adult who spent their entire lifetime being about fantasy, make-believe, fiction, and disassociation of the current situation from reality. So be careful. Now, one of the things I don't think Trump wants to do is to diffuse what may come out of this with ongoing investigations that are suggested by what occurred. And in the process, if you pardon him, you may cut yourself off from finding out what else is going on. Like when Diddy first started coming under suspicion, I said, you know what? This sounds like somebody is upset because in 15 years of recordings with all of these freak parties going on, somebody is there that doesn't want that fact to come out or that allegation to come out. So somebody's being protected. So who's being protected, and what are we abusing criminal law to prosecute somebody, persecute them so they can't say anything about somebody? That's why we have the Bill of Rights, so that doesn't happen. But it's completely flaunting the Bill of Rights, this so-called lawfare. So is that what's really behind this whole thing? So Diddy kind of put himself right in the midst of, there were some reprehensible characteristics of what he was doing. And it's not nice. The whole thing about being into what looked like pimping, I'll say that as an allegation, is not clean. So, law has this thing of, if you want relief, make sure your hands are clean. So his hands aren't exactly clean of some of the things, even if the consequences are a little bit wrong in terms of what is trying to be accomplished. You don't go out and persecute somebody to protect somebody's reputation. And 15 years worth of recordings will have deterred a lot of people in the entertainment and communications industries who might have otherwise done some foul things to somebody, but they held back because they knew that somebody had damning evidence on them. So who else did you hear about at these large, several times a week freak parties? You see, you didn't hear too many names, did you?
Did you experience inappropriate behavior from a bishop, church leader, or member at any LDS church when you were young?
And remember, this is going on several times a month for 15 years. So who didn't you hear about it? What big time celebrities or politicos came to these events to get their freak on and have a little adventure and didn't want anything told? Who knows?
You believe it was big names involved?
Yes, and I think some of them were involved in the political process, sometimes very high up. And I'm not talking about the current president, Mr. Donald Trump. I'm not talking about him. And by the way, the whole thing about the Epstein thing, we might as well touch on that. I know anytime I'm someplace, I really hate it when somebody's hiding, trying to take a picture long distance with their phone over somebody's shoulder. I said, come on, you want a picture? Stand in and ask me. Yeah, you can have a picture. Come on, get one. I don't know. But I always act like I like people, which I do. So I'll shake the person's hand. We may smile or whatever it might be. And if somebody showed the picture, 5, 6, 7, sometimes somebody showed me a picture that was taken 26 years ago, was interesting. Said, we took a picture one time. Yeah, how about that? See, somebody might come back 20 years. You took a picture with this guy and he just got out of the penitentiary for armed robbery. Well, how do I know that? I'm just glad handing somebody who is a constituent or a supporter or a fan. So people need to get off of this inquiring minds nonsense that used to be the phrase for what was it? Oh, yeah, National Enquirer. Inquiring minds must know. So be patient. What did Obi-Wan tell Luke? Patience is a great virtue, Padawan. It is. Justice grinds slowly, and when it's rushed, it tends to miscarry. Which is, by the way, one of the reasons you haven't seen indictments. The current administration has been in office just that 1 year. It had to spend a lot of time getting things set up. The appointed U.S. attorneys had to be confirmed, which is one reason that Tisha James got out from under the indictment. It wasn't saying there was nothing to the indictments. The ruling was just that the person that brought them was not properly installed in the position that they were operating out of. So it's not over. And the more time they spend on it, the more time they develop. See, it's not like television where you turn on the program, you get 32 minutes of commercial and 28 minutes of content. And in those 28 minutes, you see the crime, you are the fly on the wall, and you see how it develops and you see the conviction. That's not how it works. Detectives and others are thinking about what happened. They don't have a clue. Maybe they get a clue and then somebody sits up in the middle of the night. That's what must have happened. And he jumps up first thing in the morning, gets dressed quickly, gets to the office early, and he opens up the file. Let me see if what I'm thinking is right. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let me look into that. And then he has to go bring in some witnesses or go interview some, and maybe another clue occurs. And see, things aren't like they are when you look at a dramatized presentation of some fictional, real situation. People have to develop them, and it takes time.
How do you go from zero experience?
Okay, that was Judge Joe Brown. He's saying he doesn't think Trump has pardoned Diddy yet simply because the whole process has not gone to the end in terms of him moving through the legal system. So that's one of the reasons why Diddy's still sitting there and it hasn't come to Trump's desk yet. So we just got to go on that. That's his legal expertise on that. And he also says that he thought that there's a lot of political people that was behind Diddy's indictment and powerful people And that is some good points that he brought up about how apparently certain people were not even, their names was not brought up. And this thing was so sensationalized in the media for such a time. And everyone's going to say, you're going to see all these things come out. But really, there wasn't too much said about other accomplices or other people in his involvement. And he thinks that the last administration, the Biden administration, had something to do with it. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you know, Diddy was a controversial guy, and you know, he had friends in high places, but he also had enemies in high places. And when you have that combination, you know, it could go either way. So, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think Trump will pardon Diddy? Should he pardon Diddy? Or will he be sitting down serving his 50 months, his 4 years in jail? I'm probably more leaning on the side of the pardon. Whether Trump will do it or not, probably not. But we'll see. For those of you who's not connected to the show, I ask that you like and subscribe and you weigh in. Let your voice be heard. All right? Till we speak again, have a blessed one.